Hello and welcome to the Leaders Council podcast with me, Joshua Jackson. This podcast, just like the Leaders Council itself, is all about recognising and celebrating the people who keep this great country running. We exist to give leaders a voice outside of their own organisations and to support them in the same way that they support their staff every single day of the week. If you are in a leadership position yourself and would like to have your voice heard on the national stage, please go to leaderscouncil.co.uk/apply. Each week on this programme, I'm joined by a different leadership figure from the world of business, education, politics, sport, or even from local communities, in the aim of truly discovering who these people are that get up every morning and make this country work. We get their take on the current economic and political landscape of the UK and discuss everything from social care to national insurance price hikes and, of course, the success and the innovation that makes it all worthwhile in the end. On today's programme, I'm delighted to be joined by Engelina Mafirakurewa, the founder and manager of Medow Care. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Engelina, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me, Joshua.
It's not a problem at all. It's going to be a fascinating interview, this one. As a manager of social care and care platform, helping people every day over the past sort of 18 months of chaos and looking ahead to continue to do so. You've been right in the midst of so many issues, and it's going to be great to get your take on the challenges and how you've had to adapt, really. But obviously we can't start this conversation without touching on COVID and the impact that it's had, especially in your field. So, let's start there. Angie, how's everything been?
Oh my God, with COVID, it left a very big impact on our service because people having had this COVID and some have suffered COVID, they decided that they were not going to come back into work, and it left a big gap for us. We are really finding it difficult to fill. And we also lost quite a few clients from COVID. And it was really traumatic, honestly, working through this pandemic period.
I can imagine it's been very difficult having to balance the needs of the people that you're looking after, as well as, the worries and the challenges of staff. What's been, sort of the most difficult about this period?
Right, dealing with people, you could see that they are going to be dying, and waiting for a paramedic to come and take a patient, it's a matter of life or death. You can go into hospital quickly. This left a lot of our staff traumatized by what they were actually witnessing, and also they themselves being in contact with people who have been COVID positive, and they had to go away isolating. And remember, these people have got families as well at home. So it's like from work to home, you're passing this coronavirus. So it's really scarred a lot of our staff. In that, some of them, they decided not to come back to work.
I can imagine that has been incredibly difficult to be dealing with. From a staff member's perspective, the stresses of trying to maintain their own safety, but as you say, dealing with that mental impact of seeing people who are incredibly ill and aren't potentially getting the quick turnaround that they need to survive. Obviously, the pressures on the NHS have been extreme, and the pressures of getting up and going into work, especially for carers, has been underappreciated. Do you think that over the course of this, that the respect for your profession has increased, or do you think that it's still something that people need to, look at carers and think, this is a worthwhile profession?
I think it's high time the care profession is recognized. To me, it's a profession. Although they don't want to classify it as a profession, but to me it's a profession because these people, they also go under training and they also get certificate diplomas and whatever, and they work honestly, competently, and they do their work wholeheartedly, just like anybody else. And I would appreciate and I would be happy to see this care profession also being recognized and carers is also being recognized as professionals.
Yeah, it's something that is highly skilled. Not only from an education perspective, knowing how to, sort of treat people and making sure that their needs are being looked after, but also those soft skills, being able to go into a room and, especially with people with sort of, mental degradation, put a smile on your face, make sure that people are comfortable, having the right body language. And it is often something that people don't respect in that case. So a lot more, credit needs to be given to, the people that are working day in, day out. And I hope that this is something that is going to be, recognised with some of the changes around sort of social care that are being discussed. But, one of the main issues at the moment is obviously getting staff and keeping them. How are you finding bringing new blood into, the company and care as a whole?
It has been a very challenging time trying to recruit, and we are still having difficulties trying to get new staff in. We've tried everywhere. We've tried the job centers, we've tried billboards, we've tried other recruitment agencies trying to get new staff. But it looks like a lot of people have decided that they will not go into care because of the pandemic. And most of the time, the people we get like from the job center are people on benefits. So these people, when they come to work, they don't want to do more than 10 hours because they are afraid of losing their benefits. Although you could see that they can actually put more hours into work, but they decide that they don't want to do more hours because they will lose their benefits. So it's really it's really depressing sometimes when you think that there are people out there doing nothing when actually they could be working, and which is something that we also want the government to look into. They should encourage people to go back to work and make sure that anyone who is employable can be employed. We train them, we give them, we pay them nice wages now, and still you find that it's difficult to get carers. And the other contributing sector also was Brexit. After Brexit, we saw a lot of people leaving the care sector because these were people from abroad, and they all had to go back to their countries because of Brexit. And now here we are. We've got all our local people in here who do not even want to know anything about care. So we try by all means to advertise and make them aware that caring is a profession. That's why I'm saying we want them to recognize it. And also to understand that it's something also that can give you some joy, some fulfillment. And they have to learn to appreciate looking after someone. And it's just like working in a hospital when you're looking after patients. It's the same thing. It's only that we are doing it in the community. So this is another issue that we really need to be addressed so that people can understand what caring is all about and why we want people to go into care, and that this is a profession which is fulfilling when it's on.
Absolutely, it is incredibly fulfilling. Being able to look after people. And you're right, there is a difference in people's mindsets. That when you work in a hospital, it's very much applauded, it's celebrated. But when you work within the community and you're going into people's homes, it's sort of not looked down upon. But there's a very different feeling towards it, despite it being, as important, if not more. We see the challenges of elderly people being, lonely, not having people, family around or people to rely on. And a carer is that support. The message needs to change to give it that recognition. What are your sort of thoughts on how you'd help the recruitment process? Is it, sort of higher wages? Is it just more respect?
They need more respect. People have to understand that the people who are doing this kind of job, they are more skilled. There is no way you can take somebody and just take them and say, I've employed you, you go and work. We have to train them. They go through induction. They go through training. They do all the things that someone needs to do, like moving and handling. They do the medication training. They do how to look after somebody, wound care dressing, all those things, which make them more skilled. And people also understand that for someone to be a carer, you have to be well qualified to do that job. Not an ordinary person can just go out there and say, I'm a carer. but you have to be well qualified. That's why these people, they go through all these trainings that I'm talking about. So if only people can recognize that, and also if they can realize that working as a carer, it doesn't mean that you are the lowest paid job. We also want to make sure that carers are paid well. And this is the reason why we are always trying to the local authorities that, please, can we have a decent budget for carers?
Absolutely. It's something that you pride yourself on at Medow Care. When staff come in, you make sure that they get access to the training they need, going through the diplomas and MVQs that can, educate and provide a platform for people to springboard from as well, and provide good quality care. And that's reflected in the quality of your organization and the quality of the work, your CQC rating. It's all of these things come together and have shown that over the years, you yourself have put in an incredible way of, looking after your staff, building a company, and looking after your clients. And maybe it's time that these things are recognized on a wider scale. It just does need to be a change in attitude from the government down, really. More education, abilities and opportunities for people as they come out of school may be one of the answers to helping that. But maybe a good quality advertising campaign and higher pay will help as well. But I don't know the answer, and you're there sort of day in, day out, so it is something that obviously with your answer there, that hopefully we can take forwards. But you yourself, as a leader over this time, how have you managed to, or how have you supported the staff as they've come in and as they've been challenged by the mental health elements and the stresses of dealing with this sort of COVID pandemic?
Right. Oh, we have been very supportive for our staff. We every morning would check on each other, find out how are you, how you getting on, is everything okay, are you okay, is you taking your temperatures, are you in good health and everything. And sometimes we go around do health checks on all our care workers to make sure that they are all in good form. And also we check them together with our service users, their well-being, and to make sure that everybody is fine. So at least they will know that when they go into a client, they are fine, they've been checked, and there's nothing to worry about. And also on themselves as well, that will keep their mental health in good form, because then they know that they are being checked and somebody is really caring about them, even though they are going to work out there when there's this pandemic.
It is very important then to be making sure that you are looking after people. It seems like you've been trying to do that. Have you felt that over the past few months, since the government released the Care for Others Make a Difference campaign to urge people to get into social care, that there's been any uptick in it at all, or do you think that it's been relatively useless?
I don't see any change to that, because the main thing they need to do is to recognize the care industry, that carers are professionals. They are skilled people. They do go through training for them to be as skilled and competent as they are. So if they can only recognize that, and then we then advocate for a higher pay rise, so that these carers can be appreciated. They will also see that they are being appreciated, and it motivates them. And you find a lot of people start joining the care industry.
And are you? Do you have plans in place now to sort of look ahead towards getting people in? How are you trying to yourself, other than going to sort of job centres or anything like that, trying to sort of recruit people around you? Is there a plan in place?
Recruiting locally, to be honest, is a challenge, and I don't think it's going to be working as well, because you get them in the job today, you give them an offer. At the end of the weekend, they get paid. They go back to the job center and say, "This is my pay slip. I did get a job and work, but it's not what I want."
Okay, so that's just
the only thing they are doing. Yes, the only reason they do that is because they want to keep on getting their benefits. So our only bet now was to look outside. If only we can have that permission to go and recruit from abroad, and then get the people in and give them jobs. We can put them on contracts, like 3-year contracts, 5-year contracts, and then they can come and work. And when the time is up, they can go, and then we go back again and do the same thing. Because it looks like when we are recruiting here, it's like fighting fire. You will never get anywhere.
Yeah, that's an issue across many sectors right now, isn't it? Not just care, but hospitality, drivers, supply chains, factory workers, farm workers. That people within the UK aren't taking up some of these jobs, and that there is a real hole left by overseas workers that were coming to the UK and filling a lot of these quality skilled jobs, especially when they are sort of seasonal. It'd be interesting to see what the Home Office does and what they change when they can, whether they allow particular sectors to recruit from abroad on more long-term contracts without the necessary sort of point system that's currently in place. And I hope that they do take that on board.
Yeah, I think the point system is a disadvantage to us in the sense that they want people who are nurses, who are doctors, and more qualified than the workers. Whereas in our industry, we recruit them and then we train them to a certain level so that at least they are more competent to deliver the job, to deliver the work they're supposed to do. So when they are asking us to apply for license, I think they shouldn't ask us what qualification these people have. You can get somebody who has got O-level or A-level, and that person is quite good because they can understand when you train them. And training is ongoing in the care industry. It's not like they are trained one day and that's it. We train them and we do refresher courses to make sure that they have got the knowledge and the skills to deliver the job.
And has it crossed your mind to approach sort of school leavers, young people, to jump into the industry? Is that something that there's a route for?
We have tried to work with Auckland College, where there are young people doing health and social care diplomas, but you'll find that why they are doing it is because they didn't have the A-level, and what they are trying to do is just to gain a qualification. And when they've got that qualification, they don't want to come into care. They want to go and do something else, different from what they've been studying.
That's an interesting point that that people are doing the sort of health and social care sort of qualifications at school, but they're not wanting to go into the industry.
Into care. Yeah.
That's probably just a necessary sort of the lack of respect around it. People aren't seeing it as a viable career option, when in actual fact the reverse is true. There are so many skill sets, whether you're going into people's homes or working within a residential or nursing home. Really, there needs to be that change. But for your own company, are you seeing that now the sort of lessening of restrictions, the ease with which people can sort of go out more, has that had a beneficial effect on your staff and on clients?
Yes, but you know what? People do that, but you find they're still safe, but they are known. Because where they are going, you are going to be mixing with a lot of people. Although we have had this vaccine, all our staff have had the second jab, all my service members have had the second jab, but still people still worry. But if you go out there, then you speak to people, what is going to be the end result?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, that people are still very much, being an abundance of caution in many respects, making sure that they are staying safe. But, I thought that there might have been a bit more of a sort of mental uplift in getting people out of the house again and, helping to get back outside. But maybe that's not the case. But, yourself and your plans for the next 12 months, are you seeing things getting easier at all? Or do you think it's still going to maintain the same level of struggle as it is right now?
As long as we are not given a leeway to go and recruit from overseas, we will still be talking about recruitment. The industry will still be suffering. So we need the government to give us a leeway for domiciliary care workers, for domiciliary care providers, even the home care home providers. They also need staff. So if they give us that leeway to say, okay, you can recruit overseas, but whoever you recruit should have an offer before they come here. We will be very much happy to do that. But at the moment, as it is, with this licensing thing and tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, we are not going to go anywhere. We will still be having this same problem and we'll still be talking about it.
So just the underlying issue here isn't, it isn't funding, it isn't, getting clients, it isn't, working within the community and working with local councils. They're all separate issues to the major underlying piece, which is just getting staff.
We don't want to get staff. The clients are there. We are actually not getting any staff. And the hospitals are now overburdened because we can't get the staff out of hospital, the clients out of hospital. We don't have the staff. We want to get somebody out, and then you're not able to look after them and meet their needs. So at the end of the day, we'll end up saying, no, we can't, we didn't have the capacity, which I feel bad about if I turn around and say I don't have capacity. So what am I doing?
Yeah, and that just provides more pressure, doesn't it? It's a round and round and round and round problem as people are then getting out of home but not being looked after properly, getting back into the hospital, taking up a hospital bed that can be used for something else. It's, it seems like a horrible situation to be in for you, really.
It is a horrible situation, and so I don't know. This is what we are saying. The government needs to intervene. The government needs to make it easy for us. The government needs to acknowledge that these carers, they are professionals, they are skilled workers. They are not just carers.
Absolutely. And, Angie, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. I just want to repeat that last message, again, just to reiterate that, that the issues are there for people in the social care sector. It is a hard sector to be working in, but a rewarding one. And government does need to do more to help people get into the sector and stay in the sector. More respect, more pay, better working conditions, and that will help the NHS to lesser the burden on their beds and sort of long-term people within hospitals. Getting people out and back home is going to need to be a priority, undercut by staff. But this has been a really interesting talk that we've just had. It's been great to have you on and to hear the issues firsthand and really underlying that recruitment element. Angie, thank you ever so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much, Christoph, for having me.
Not a problem at all. Thank you and goodbye.